Hey, what's up, guys? I'm back with a new video. Today we're going to take a look at the RTX 4070 Super Nvidia Founders Edition. I bought this on launch day last week when it came out from Best Buy. They had free overnight shipping. I got it delivered the next day. So I've had it for about a week, and I've been testing it off and on. I also bought the RTX 4070 Ti Super. I got that online, and that actually arrived early. I got mine on Monday of this week, and today's Wednesday. So mine actually arrived early Monday morning. Unfortunately, when it arrived, I couldn't use the card fully because if you watch my channel, I actually uploaded a video showing that I had the card. Unfortunately, I couldn't use the card because without the drivers, the card is effectively just a paperweight. I experimented, obviously, just trying to force install the drivers, which you can do. You can, for years, you've been able to modify the INF. That was just a setup file to tell the installer to continue with the device hardware ID, which is right here for this card. And I did manage to get it to install drivers for it. Unfortunately, when you go to game, it would go into like a limp power state, essentially, like kind of just like it wouldn't fully use the card like for 3D rendering. Like you could play games and things like that, but it would run its stupid low FPS, like 20, 30 frames per second. Benchmarks for 3D rendering loads, like gaming loads, were producing like 30 to 40% of what it should be producing. But oddly enough, for creative and professional use, it would run full speed and produce the scores it should produce. So I was able to benchmark that, which was really interesting. And then, of course, the next morning reviews came out, and that morning, yesterday morning, I managed to use a different driver, and I figured out how to install the GPU to the point where it worked fully. Everything worked perfectly. I could do benchmarks for performance. I could play games on it. Everything worked as it should. Only thing that didn't work, which I found really odd, was DLSS. For whatever reason, DLSS it wasn't identified as an Nvidia card. It didn't identify it as it was the strangest thing. But everything worked. It knew it was an Nvidia device. And when you would look through GPU-Z now up here, it wouldn't. I think it had the wrong name, but it had all of the specs. So it still reads the VBIOS. It still knows what the chip is. It just the name was wrong, and then it was identified incorrectly by programs and things like that of just being like an NVIDIA device essentially. It was really interesting. So anyway, I tested it yesterday, and I got to be honest with you guys, I'm truly disappointed with the performance uplift. And I think we all expected it to be more because this increased the bus width from 192-bit bus to a 256-bit bus, and everybody thought that the 12 gigabyte was really that, and the bus were holding the card back. Well, in fact, it seems like not really. What actually seems like is holding the card back is the cache of the card, is my opinion, because there's quite an uplift in the shader units here from this card, which is a 4070 Super, to the Ti, then to the vanilla Ti, to the Ti Super. There's a pretty healthy jump in shaders. So I'll pull up some of my benchmarks here that I did. You guys can see. This was one of my benchmarks. You can see it identifies it correctly here as a 4070 Ti Super. But then, of course, it just says NVIDIA graphics device. And you can see I used the previous driver here for 54665, which wasn't the supported driver. And it installed. Like I said, I could get it to install, no problem. But it wouldn't run 3D loads. You could just do like professional use. So I was doing that, testing things out to see how it ran. It was like a paperwork. I wanted to use the hardware I bought, right? I purchased the card online. It was a legal purchase. I wasn't under NDA. Of course, I want to use the card. But I couldn't fully until yesterday. Actually, I was able to use the card yesterday, even though the drivers came out today, and you were able to purchase them today. I was able to use it yesterday and was gaming on it. So it has 8,448 shaders, and you can see here on my 4070 Super, that's a significant uplift in the shaders. And then, of course, it has a 256-bit bus and 16 gigabytes of GDDR6X, which both run at the same 21 gigabit per second effective speed. So they have the same memory speed. Uh, Really, the problem, the problem with this, and maybe it was just this card, it seemed to have problems holding the voltage. Like every other Nvidia card I have, you can lock the voltage in as long as you're under the power limit temp limits. You could lock the voltage in. This card, for whatever reason, maybe it's just the weak VRM, it just couldn't do it. It would not hold the voltage when I was trying to tune and overclock it. The other thing is that it didn't seem to scale as much as we all expected as in terms of the performance difference. Obviously, there's a performance difference here. There certainly is. It just didn't seem like as much as we were kind of all expecting, in my opinion. I was a little disappointed with the card gaming performance uplift wise for the price increase over the MSRP 599 for a 4070 Super. I don't think that the 16 versus 12 gigabyte is a huge difference in terms of its relevancy. I know that a lot of reviewers go on and on about how it's so important to have, but a lot of games don't use anywhere near 12, and they're certainly not going to use 16 in the useful lifespan, I think, of this card. I think by the time it's able to use it, it won't be producing enough FPS that it really matters. Like, it won't be a relevant card, if that makes sense. Like, we're going to be a generation, probably 2 generations down the line before 16 gigabyte is really like, oh, it's relevant. Will it eventually make a bigger difference? Of course it will. Absolutely. In the future, you could test these cards and they would make a difference. But will the 16 gigabyte card be producing FPS that really make a difference? You know what I'm saying? Is it a relevant card at that point to where, some people hold on to their cards. I get it, a lot longer than others. But I think the better purchase is just to pick up the 4070 Super at $599 and then buy a 5070 Super later this year, like late this year in October if they release, or early 2025. Sell your 4070 Super for a few $100 and pay the few $100 to buy a 5070 Super, which is guaranteed probably going to have 16 gigabytes, probably a 256-bit bus. Maybe it's not. Maybe it's 192, but it's using GDDR7 or something, so it's faster and gets that bandwidth up. Even though it has a smaller bus, maybe have much faster RAM to give you that that higher bandwidth, that effective memory bandwidth speed. So I wasn't super impressed with the 47. It's a good card if you have $799 and that's what you want. There's nothing wrong with it. It is a good card. I just feel like the value play is still the 4070 Super. It's just such a fantastic card. I also just really like the Founders Edition. The quality, the build of the card is just nothing compares to the Founders Edition's build quality, in my opinion, right now. The other cards outside of like a Strix or a Tough or a Supreme X are plasticky. They're cheap. They don't look good, in my opinion. They don't feel quality. They just kind of feel just kind of cheap. There's something like not substantial about it. And you get the 4070 Super. It's such a compact card. It's quality. It's weighty because it's got a lot of metal on it. It feels like a premium card. It feels like a premium, well-designed product. So that's it. Let's go through some of these slides here. I'm going to show you guys some Battlefield 2042 gameplay as well. But this is one of my early benchmarks that I did with the 4070 Ti Super. A benchmark I ran last night. Now I am blocking out the driver that I was able to use because I don't want that to leak out how I was able to do that. But I got Blue Room VR benchmark running there. That's actually ended up rerunning this benchmark without G-Sync enable. I think it scored about 73, 7400, something like that. So a little bit low, but the higher score is set about 73, 7400. Again, it's stock. It was just I had G-Sync enabled for this run at 4K, so this is 4070 Super. It's stock in Cinebench R24. Orange Room on the 4070 Ti Super. I know it doesn't say Super here, but look at the pixels. 16. It's misreading the card because of the way I installed the card to get it to run before the official drivers were out. This is also a 4070 Ti Super overclock run. I was messing around with overclocking the card. You can see here that it's boosted up pretty good. Again, blocking the driver out, but it's still a 4070 Ti Super, about 16.6. I think the highest I got was 16,800. You can see that here. Again, overclocking. Um, you know, I don't find that to be super, super impressive for the 200 bucks. My highest score on the 4070 Super is 15,100 points or something, or 15,000 points. And that's comparing max OC to basically max OC, 16.8, 15,000. Yes, it's an uplift. It's certainly an uplift, but is it worth the price premium? You know, that's up to you. Um, if you think that it's worth it, you know, that's, what is that, 12, 13%, something like that uplift. It's not, I didn't find it to be that impressive. Another run. I believe this is stock right here. So this was stock with the 4070 Ti Super. Again, you can see 16 gigabytes with the unified shaders, 8,448, 256-bit bus. This was a stock run. So Max OC 4070 Super matching pretty close to stock 4070 Ti Super. So realistically, a realistic overclock, probably around 14,600 without being max OC, right? You want it to be 24. So that's not a huge difference. You see, you can kind of, if you get a decent chip, you can kind of push it, maybe get 14.5, something like that, but that's not a huge difference. The big difference is the extra 4 gigabytes of VRAM. It may make a bigger difference to say something like 4K, where you start to run into those bottlenecks. Now, I didn't blank out the driver here because I didn't need to. This driver wasn't fully working, I guess you could say. With an overclocked 4070 Ti Super, again, the difference in the speeds here. This was overclocked as well, 22,332. So that was overclock. So that's your difference in Cinebench if you're interested in that. This was Max OC 4070 Ti Super on Speedway. My Max OC was 6,100 points on the 4070 Super. So again, not a huge difference in performance, but a pretty significant increase in price. So, and then some V-Ray that I did, and some, this is again with the 4070 Ti Super at stock. This was all stock. No overclocks on these scores. You guys can see that. And I think that's it, guys. I think that's what I've got there as far as the testing. This is a stock card. It's the Nvidia VBIOS, which it's a Founders Edition running the Nvidia VBIOS, and it's a 220 watt card default with a max adjustable range up to 240. Now, I do want to put that to max, because why not? You can also do this if you don't want to do that in, get rid of that stuff for you guys. If you don't want to do that in MSI Afterburner, well, in GeForce Experience, they also include an ability to do that. So if you just have GeForce Experience installed with the overlay turned on, you can hit Alt-Z, and you can go to Performance right here. And then under here, under power limit, you would just drag that to the maximum slider. You can also mess with the voltage, and if you want to go in and do some tuning, you can do that as well. Tune your fans, you know, all that stuff. But we're not going to do that today. I just want to show you that you can do that. It is built in. You don't have to use third-party applications. NVIDIA includes that. So why not max out your power limit? You're not actually overclocking. You're just making sure that it can use all the power it needs to stay within its envelope, and otherwise it's going to throttle, right? It's going to power throttle. We don't want that to happen. Now, we can't actually turn on frames per second. We're going to go to a Conquest 128. I can't turn on frames per second here in the game. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use NVIDIA's built-in Alt+R, again, built into the GeForce Experience program to show you guys the performance. It's not super easy to see, and it doesn't show you all the parameters. They turned off the ability to use on-screen display in Battlefield 2042. It's probably a way to bypass it. I just haven't looked into it. It's really, really annoying. I think they did it for anti-cheat or something. So we'll just spawn back here at the US spawn and work our way up. maybe it would be best to move that. So why don't we do this? So we're gonna do Alt plus R, Alt plus Z, and we'll change the overlay and put it right there. Alright, so now it's in the top left corner. So you guys can see it just a little bit easier. About 100 frames per second, 105. Now I do have the fans on default, and I also have all the clocks on default. We're playing at 4K, 120 hertz, ultra everything. The only thing that's not turned on is ray tracing. So that's disabled, and we're using DLSS to quality in a full server of 128 player conquest. So you can see this card does phenomenally well, even at 4K DLSS quality in Battlefield 2042. No problems, maxed out. So for the price that you're paying for this card, and DLSS looks phenomenal at quality, I would, that guy ran me over. I would, every single game that I play at 4K that has, go somewhere towards the middle now, every single game that I play that has DLSS, because I'm playing on 4K screens, I'm going to use it because it looks so good compared to native. I can't tell, in a lot of situations it looks better than whatever they use for their native anti-aliasing solution. So, and the helicopter just I should have shot him with a rocket. I thought maybe he didn't see me. I thought maybe we could get away with that. Let's try and get back on that ship. He's right there. Ah, he flew away.
Our troops just seized Sector Bravo.
I love when I shoot down helicopters with RPGs. It's just, there's something so satisfying. Here he comes, he's gonna shoot me again. I missed, I shot too early. There's something so satisfying. I shot way too early on that. About hitting a helicopter with an RPG. Let's see if we can spawn our teammate here so that we're on the ship. Oh, he's in the ship. Get this closer. I can't actually see the guy.
They're making us pay for every
Shit. Oh wow, they're up there. I did have a 4090 Founders Edition in this PC. Now, I am playing on a couch right now, sitting back on a TV, so I'm not playing at my main PC. I had a 4090 FE in this system, and honestly, for the amount of use it was getting, it was just totally a waste. I don't always... man, I'm getting destroyed right now. I don't always game in here. Sometimes we're just using it to stream shows and things like that. So, honestly, for the price and the card, I mean, it was just such a waste to have such a powerful card. So I actually ended up selling that card to a local seller. I sold it for exactly what I paid for from Best Buy, and a lot of people really like the Founders card, so I was really the guy was like a super nice guy. He was building like his first PC, so it was really nice to be able to give the to sell it, you know, to somebody who really wanted the card. I was just happy to mostly get my money back for what I paid for it. And it was a very lightly used, barely used. I think I had it for like 4 months. 4090 had 20, 30 hours of gaming time on it, if that. So yeah, it was just such a waste to have such a powerful card. And I'm just really digging this card for the price. I mean, right now, we're playing 128 person Conquest at 4K with DLSS, you know, and getting really good performance. I mean, suddenly I'm playing on a 120 hertz OLED screen with VRR, so I don't have to have, you know, more than 120 frames per second. And I could obviously turn settings down here to get additional performance if I wanted. What is shooting at me back there? Was that a... It had to have been a helicopter?
Weather instruments are lighting up red. Don't lose sight of your surroundings.
Let's do that though. Let's turn this down. So right now we're about 100 frames per second. Again, we're at stock. We can overclock, and we could turn settings down to get additional frames per second. We're just going to go to balance and see what that does for us. Give it a second to catch up. About 117, so balance 118 frames. At stock settings, no overclock.
Charlie 1 lost.
Card's running about 65 degrees Celsius. $200 I mean, just to get this performance out of a card that's only $599, and is kind of as small as it is, pulling as little power, you know, as it is, it's kind of impressive to me. Oh, this is a freaking robot drone thing.
Charlie 1 attack begun by our forces.
I think we can. Do we believe?
Our troops have seized Charlie 1.
Oh, I got a vehicle assist. How did I get a vehicle assist? I heard him just barely running, coming after me. I wonder if he has a spawn beacon around here. But yeah, I mean, pulling 215 watts, the card is so incredibly efficient. What's my ping? Oh, about 35 milliseconds. It's nothing.
Incoming storm.
Shot me right in the back. At least we're getting some positive KD ratio now. Finally starting to pick things up. Here comes a storm. Let's spawn near that. That usually causes a performance hit, right? I really don't know, actually. Let's see if we can get out of here. Yeah. I mean, we're still getting over 100 frames. 106, 103. It's just so hard to read that. I'm constantly staring up there to see what it's showing for you guys. It can be difficult to read it. I'm really sorry if the mic on this doesn't sound very good. Where'd he go?
Marking the hostile. 60 meters from my position.
Whoa, he hit a mine. I am using the wireless Corsair headset. I don't really like it. I very rarely use it. It kind of compresses my head, gives me a headache. Not a big fan. It's one of those purchases that I regret making. Anyways, guys, I am recording this at 4K as well with Shadow Play, so I'm getting a little bit of a performance hit there as well. I would turn the resolution down, but I don't want to. Let's see if we come back here. See where we're at performance-wise. Always in the spawn. Something about the spawn brings that performance way down. In the 80s, 90s. I mean, that's still, like, not a bad performance. It's just lower than I would have expected around nothing going on.
Hostile infantry, about 90 meters from my position. Enemy soldier. Enemy soldier there.
Sector Bravo has
All right,
fallen
heal
to
up here for a
hostiles.
second.
Hostile troops northeast.
We are moving to attack Bravo 1.
Right side there.
Who is shooting?
Careful here! Northeast!
That's
Look out!
It's hard to see sometimes with that thermal scope.
They control Sector Charlie.
Hostile down! Enemy tankers there!
Alright guys, I'm going to show you performance mode. We're still around 90 frames per second right now. Seems to be a pretty demanding part of the map. But we're on ultra settings at 4K with DLSS enabled.
Sector Bravo is ours.
Let's go back to that demanding area actually. Like I said, it seems to be a lot more demanding of an area. So I'd rather test that area out.
Than the enemy, but this battle is far from over.
Hostile neutralized! Throwing grenade!
Russians are attacking one of our objectives.
Good to go!
Whoa, that was weird. I sort of lagged out there or something. Like it brought me backwards. Let's see how performance performs over here. So now we're up around like 100. Well, it's about the same, really. Battlefield is so unforgiving. You can spawn right in and immediately. There's a couple guys here. Let's spawn here. So I don't think we've spawned on this side yet. I'm just having so much. Oh my gosh, you can't spawn without just immediately. If you don't get to cover sometimes in Battlefield, you are just immediately destroyed. Spawn into a hot zone and it will be super unforgiving.
Copy that. Vehicle's on its way.
I don't have any more RPGs. They only give you 2 by default.
Taking casualty!
Ah! That's another guy. Let's go back to quality. See how that runs.
Both sectors now occupied by hostiles. They have Sector Delta.
Hostiles just forced us off Charlie 2.
See, now we're still at about the
New
same
objective
frames per
under
second.
control.
Not dying to that robot dog. 90 human beings. Yeah, see, it really doesn't seem to have made a big difference in performance. We're still getting 90 frames per second on, you know, Ultra 4K. Which is more than enough frames per second to play this if you want to play on your high refresh rate 4K screen.
This will hurt them!
Oh, the game ended. I'm like, why can't I shoot him?
Battle's done. We've lost.
All right, guys. So that was Battlefield at 4K ultra settings on an RTX 4070 Super. Super playable. I would not be upset with that experience in the least bit. And it's just the $599 Founders Edition MSRP card. It's a phenomenal card. I don't think you're going to have any trouble, you know, playing on this and using this as your main GPU. If this is what you're looking for, and you're looking for a pretty decent performing card for a pretty good price,
Let's begin, please.
I think that the